the Ohio Cannabis Institute 420 report coming to you live at 4:20 daily, Monday through Friday. 4:20 report, getting ready to go live. And those farmers who are a big voting bloc here in Ohio have managed to do it. And really, families pulling an extra $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year that are out there in the cornfields of Ohio, I'm all for you. I think you're truly the pioneers of this day and age, and I'm 100% for you. I'd like to protect you in that process. And I really think that the entrepreneurs, ganjapreneurs in Ohio should have been the first people that benefited from all this.
No question.
But, in your and my research, we went out looking because we get the question from just literally there's over 1 million people in Ohio that have medical needs that they read about me or they hear about me on HBO or Al Jazeera and in the newspaper. And they don't know anybody else that knows anything about it. And they see I'm right here in the capital city, so they call me up. And actually, I get the calls from Alaska, California, Michigan, Kentucky, all over. They're not just from Ohio. But when somebody calls you up and says, hey, my wife, my child, my loved one is dying, what do? How do you help? Do you have any compassion in your heart for people that are suffering and struggling, and in particular those that are really could be saved? I do, and as a minister, I can't get away from it. I find it moves me. So here a few weeks ago, Fred and I were batting the ball back and forth, and we're talking about all the license permits and everything going in for level 1 grow. And somebody said to me, what oil is the oil we need really for somebody that has seizures? Now, GW Pharmaceuticals has been experimenting with it, and by the way, the National Epilepsy Foundation really has sided up to GW Pharmaceutical out of England, and they want to see anybody that's suffering from seizures helped. That's just their national piece. They asked me if I'd become one of their national spokespersons or directors on the subject. And I've been brave about it. I don't want to be restricted by the foundation or the Epilepsy Foundation or anybody else, so I want the freedom to say what I want. And I'm going to be that way, because if it was my kid or any kid, and I saw him suffering like that, I'd want to do anything I could to help him. But that's just what I believe I'm called to do as a compassionate person. But we may just start looking around.
Do you think people really understand what happens when a 4-year-old child reaches 2,000 seizures a day?
No, it's like taking an egg and just putting it in one of those automatic shaking machines that they shake up paint in. You scramble eggs, the brain. And it's an ugly thing to watch your child die that way. It's a horrible thing. And I don't want to dwell on it because it is. It's a negative counter. But if you're one of those families, and my housekeeper has been a friend of mine for over 30 years, and her 28-year-old daughter has seizures, which is my goddaughter. And let me tell you, it's so hard on mom. She can't be more than a few feet away. And if her daughter has a seizure, she needs to be right there to grab her, hold her, to try to make sure she doesn't knock her teeth out or get hurt by banging her head into something. It's a nightmare for that mother. It's a 24-hour day, watch out, be aware, be conscious, be ready, prepared to move and react to an emergency. And families living like that, it's very difficult on them. So if you know people like that, by the way, I encourage you to talk to them. Get them to watch the station. Get them to call me. I do have all kinds of answers for them. I don't like using telephones. That invites all kinds of problems. So person to person is your best way. Send me an email, though, and tell me what you need. Because what Fred and I really got to looking at is, what about hemp oil that's under the 0.0325? Charlotte's Web is one of the most famous ones. But almost all the hemp oils that are being used for healing are equal to or as powerful, and sometimes more powerful than those that hold the psychedelic THC.
Right.
So
depending upon what the
91% of the public I talk to are after the healing oil, not after the high oil.
Right.
So you can get that right now, and I can get it for you legally right now in any state in the United States. And I've been helping people find it, get it, and try it out, use it, see what's working on their kids. I also have been tied into a computer system that has every known research study done on marijuana in the world, and that's been publicly made available. We put that into a computer so you can go in there and type in whatever it is. I have seizures, Tourette syndrome. I have type 2 diabetes. I have glaucoma. And up's going to come out of a research paper out there that could tell you the answers you want. I'm not a doctor, so I don't try to do that. I don't want to be practicing medicine or anything else. I don't want to break any laws. I'm a minister. I'm a law-abiding guy. But I'm going to tell you, the amount of crooks I've seen come out of the paperwork out there is trying to sell skunk oil as the medicine. That bothers me more than just about anything, and I have no tolerance for that.
There's a story that you told me once about someone who you purchased some oil from, and it was olive oil, and this was to save someone's life.
Yeah. There was a family that had a child that was dying and that was really in trouble, and I was at a festival, and I met a young man there that said he had this oil, and that it was great for this purpose. And I said, well, my goodness, I know a couple that has a child dying right now. If you wouldn't mind, get it to me. And he got it to me, and I got to looking at it, and something just didn't seem right. So I sent it over to one of my doctor friends that had a scope that could measure it, right down to 400 different elements that were inside of it. And he came back going, Alan, it's 100% pure olive oil. And I went, no THC, no CBD,
So
nothing
tragic.
medical in it? He said, no, and Alan, this could have made somebody very, very sick, particularly a child that's already got a injured immune system and is medically fragile. It could have been the thing that put him over the edge. And I got to tell you, I went back after the guy. He was part of a group that was against Responsible Ohio, which I was part of, but that had nothing to do with it. And everybody in the room knew when I went after him that it wasn't because of our differences on how to legalize cannabis or whether to legalize cannabis. It was that he was a dirty, rotten skunk of a shithead that was willing to kill a child to make $30 off of it.
It's just unbelievable.
I find that all over the country today, and it bothers me. Most of it, though, I find is just ignorance. Growers that are growing that don't realize that this plant can absorb high levels of minerals and toxic minerals and pesticides and insecticides out of the soil. And so if you're not getting yours lab tested, and that was the biggest thing I was an advocate for, trying to do with Responsible Ohio and testifying before the Senate and House here in Ohio, was I kept telling everybody, I need lab testing so that wherever you get your medicine, wherever you find it, if you grow it yourself, do you know what the contents of it is? And without lab testing, the answer is you don't know. So lab testing became a giant thing that I realized I had to get my head around, right?
Without a doubt.
And
it's
so
critical.
Fred and I are chit-chatting through this, and we start looking at this one company that I've been watching for several years, and I said, you know, they've got the only triple lab tested oil that's 100% CBD, no THC, that I know available that meets the federal guidelines that I can ship and use in any state right now.
That's right.
And so we sent a doctor buddy of ours out, Dr. Roger, to Arizona. He's a neurosurgeon, not a neurosurgeon, probably an oral surgeon that's retired, but he made millions and millions of dollars in side businesses after he retired, and got very interested in the marijuana a couple of years ago and was helping me practice saying words like endocannabinoid system. I don't know why, but I stuttered through that so many times. It was like learning Latin to me. But Roger, being a good guy, he understood the medical and he understood the texts, and he'd read them and discuss them with me to make me more aware of what I was looking at. And I had over 200 anesthesiologists and other doctors. A lot of people know Dr. Gupta was one of my partners, and that we had both taken an oath that we were only going to grow for medical purposes. Now, saying that, I'll also back up and say medical purposes to me means that everybody, just like they have the right to take an aspirin, should have the right to self-medicate. Period. No government, nobody should be allowed to say you can't self-medicate. And if you're just in a grumpy tense, you've had a bad day, your nerves are just right on edge, and you need to chill out to get into the pleasant tense, I think you have a right to do that. But for those people that I'm concerned about that really have a deeper medical problem, it's not just hypertension or anxiety or I can't sleep at night, but are suffering, that are maybe dying, which is a very small percentage of the people. I grant you that, about 3,000 people a year here in Ohio. I think we could have saved that die, but those lives I take as precious, and people out of time. I'm sorry that the amendment that helped push through didn't make an allowance for the immediate medical needs of people out of time. So we're talking about this, and we said, well, gosh, this company out of Arizona, their oil is 100% CBD, refined, and triple lab tested. Why do we not get that in here and let it be available? And I've got a little bit of a dilemma with you, I'll tell you, Fred knows what it is, that there's like 485,000 families in Ohio that are challenged by these medical problems. And if I put it out on an email or even on a broadcast that got the oil, well, what do you do if only, say, 10% of those people call you up? 50,000 people call you. My phones would be ringing off the hook for a month. I wouldn't be able to call out on them, or my emails would be so crammed up I couldn't read them. So you got to be very careful in how you do this. So I've been laying out a strategy that we probably need about 3,000 caregivers to handle this legal cannabis oil, hemp oil,
Right.
that meets the federal guidelines and the state of Ohio laws. And we ought to just not import it, but we need people there to help the people that are going to need it. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to know about it. They're not educated on it. They want somebody that's already done the research, already knows about it. Mm-hmm. And they need help, and they're desperate. And so getting them set up to where they can get the medicines they need. But what we really started thinking about and realizing was, this is legal right now. We don't have to wait for the state of Ohio to come out with commissaries or dispensaries or whatever they want to call their medical outlets. And they're only going to open up 60. And when I was part of Responsible Ohio, we ran numbers backwards and forwards and looked at it 3 ways from Sunday. And we thought there was a need for around 3,000 pharmacies to distribute this in Ohio, just to begin to touch the surface of it. People were talking about, well, there may be more dispensaries than there were McDonald's or Starbucks in Ohio. And I said, well, if that's what the need is, that's what we need to distribute this. The state of Ohio right now is taking a really negative, stand in the way, obstinate attitude about it, and they're crushing themselves with it. I mean, they just reached in the state of Ohio and had to pull out another $1.5 million to subsidize that silly-ass bunch of pharmaceutical boards down there that I think are letting people die and being ridiculous and not tending to business properly. But they're all full of reefer madness, is what it's called. But I'm not going to wait for them to wake up. I'm not going to wait for them. So I'm looking at it right now saying, what can I legally do? I don't want to do anything illegal. I don't want to help anybody that's doing anything illegal. I'm not into illegal. I'm into what's legal. And so we called up this company, and both of us have started investing. And I mean, for less than $10,000, I got set up, and you got set up, and but we need 3,000 more people that are interested in doing that. So if you're out there in the listening land and you're saying, hey, you know, I'm a compassionate person, I'm a caregiver, I'm a loving Christian person, I want to help my neighbor, my friends, my mother, my father, my brothers, my sister, my family members, people that have arthritis in their hands, people that have glaucoma, people that have epilepsy, or, you know, we got this cream in from this company, and my wife has every month, around the time of her period, has a horrible breakout on her face. And it's just very painful, pimples and sores to pop up. And she's tried just about everything. So this cream came in, and she went in and put it on her face, and the next morning came down, and everything was cleared up and gone. I was, oh my gosh, what'd you do? And she told me, Alan, it's just totally amazing what happened.
Didn't you burn yourself?
Yeah, I was in the car with him, and I had a lighter, and, you know, chick, and I didn't pay attention, and I got a third-degree burn down the side of my thumb. I mean, it popped up, white, watery blisters, about 3 or 4 of them popped up instantly, and it throbbing pain. And Fred reached his pocket and said, well, I got some of that, a sample of that salve that we just got in from the medical marijuana extractor in Arizona. And I took a little bit and just rubbed it on there like you would butter or something on a burn, salve. And it was sitting there chatting, and Fred also said, how's your finger? And I looked down, honestly, no blisters, nothing, and I rubbed my finger, no pain, no hurt. I'm going, oh my gosh, I've never seen a situation like that. But what got Teresa going was Dr. Roger had a melanoma on his back that turned black, and it's a very dangerous sign. He'd gone into the doctor, they'd taken pictures of it and scheduled him for an operation. And this is serious stuff. And Dr. Rogers, mid-70s, and his beautiful wife, Karen, said, why don't you try some of the salve that we got in as a sample? And he started rubbing it on that every day, and he said 10 days later he reached back and rubbed it and noticed that something was flaking off, and he went to the bathroom, and the melanoma was gone completely. Not a blemish, not a red mark, nothing. It was just simply gone. Went back to the doctor who just could not believe it. He didn't have evidence from having examined Dr. Roger about what was going on before. He said, I would never have believed this. This was me. These things all sounded like red herrings to me, fake reasons to legalize, until you start seeing child after child and person after person and miracle after miracle. So, Miracle Joanna.
I got a haircut last week. You like it?
Yeah.
My barber was complaining that he has pains in the front of his shoulder that have started to come from the pains that were originally and still are in the back of the shoulder from a torn rotator cuff. So he's now getting extensive pains in the front of the shoulder, and I had a sample of that salve. And
I think it's cool that he carries around a sample of salve in his pocket.
And I
totally legal, so no reason not to.
Asked him to try it, and he did. And I took it back, put it in my pocket, and didn't say anything more. About 15, I did say 10 minutes or so, you probably won't feel any more pain. And he laughed, of course. And about 20 minutes later, he says, Of course, a barber is cutting like this all day long, so to be in pain here is really, really, really difficult for a barber. 20 minutes into it, he goes, my pain is gone. My pain is gone. So I handed him the sample.
Gone. I mean, that's how you react to it. This is impossible. It's not like anything I've ever seen or experienced before. But I've seen case after case after case like this now.
Something. It's really something.
Fred joined up with me a couple of years ago, and we've gone around and looked at it and talked about it and gone up to the conferences. We went to the World Medical Cannabis Conference in Pittsburgh, as a lot of you know, earlier in the year. And Johnny Science was with us, and Paul Castle, our ag report guy, was with us, and lots of good people were there, and we get shout-outs from all over, and Lisa and other people were there, and we got to say them and say hi. A lot of people from Ohio were there, but, we got to look around at the show, and they had 3 or 4 people there selling CBD oils. Mm-hmm. And I would ask them what's the source of it and where they get it, and what's how concentrated is it, and so on. And what I found out again and again and again was it was all pretty well junk. Have a drop of maybe a CBD oil in it or something, but it was very diluted. It was private label packaging, a bunch of just hocus pocus type of small business nonsense, in my opinion. But so that came back, and Fred asked me point blank. He said, "What do you think the number one issue is you're looking at?" And I said, "Lab testing, certified lab testing, independent lab testing." And I said, "I guess for me that means triple lab testing."
Purity is key.
Now, if you're a medical user, you want to know those kind of things, that you were able to get a lab test, you're able to know exactly what you're consuming in reality. And this company was the only company we could find out there that was furnishing that level of quantity of oil.
Nobody else does.
But getting the quantity of oil and the extraction processes and everything else is a huge, huge task. And getting it done at a medical level. And then you actually were doing the research on this, and what did you discover from Colorado?
Yeah, really bizarre. You would think, we wanted to find out what state really consumed the most CBD, right? Because I figured that the states that were already recreational and or medically legal for cannabis wouldn't really have much, the people wouldn't have much interest in CBD because they've already got the cannabis that has a little bit of CBD in it, but primarily the THC.
And they got hundreds of dispensaries and stores that
all
are
over, right?
all competing, selling 30 different lines and products all in one store.
Exactly. And I was shocked to find out that Colorado is the _1 state consuming CBD in this country.
From this particular company in Arizona.
It's bizarre. They're their largest market. It's bizarre.
If you're looking for the cleanest, best oil you can get, that's what we were looking for, and that's what we discovered. So now we need about 2,000 or 3,000 people that are interested in helping other people that want to be caregivers, and to walk around within their purse or their pocket carrying a little sample and say, hey, you got arthritis? Let me rub it in. Oh, you cut yourself with a knife? Let me rub a little of this salve on it. You got stung by a bee, or you burned your finger, or oh, you got a bad-looking black mole there on your back, or at this point I'm getting a little thin up here. I thought about having shampoo with it that I could rub in, see if it would actually regrow hair on bigger tall. But, no, the truth is I don't know what all it does. I know in California there's over 700.
Amazing what it does.
700 recognized medical maladies that are treated. That's why they said this is less dangerous than an aspirin, less addictive than a cup of coffee. And we flew the doctors in to testify to that here in the state of Ohio. Less dangerous than an aspirin, less addictive than a cup of coffee with no known negative side effects.
And these weren't just doctors, were they?
No, these were scientists. We got Dr. Jonathan Gachet is one of our good friends that's been on here with us and talked to us about it. He's probably the #1 neuroscientist in the world. And he grew up in Avon Lake, Ohio, went to Wesleyan, and then went off to Tulane down in New Orleans, and then went off to California, where he became one of the leading minds on this in the world. And of course, as he saw it getting ready to open up back in Ohio, he wanted to come back where his family and parents were, bring his wife and his new family back home. And he called me up and said, hey, how can I get involved? And I said, well, we got a bunch of country folks out here in Ohio that need educating, honestly, because I don't think it's that they're backward. I don't think they're inbred. I don't think that they're nasty people. I think they're people that have been brainwashed into a negative way of thinking. And if they understood the miracle
that's
that
throughout
could be
the
right
country.
here. But my wife was teasing me last weekend because I love Ohio homegrown corn. Some of the sweetest corn that you'll ever eat. And then as I was listening to my friend telling us about the corn yesterday and growing it between the corn crops, it dawned on me that the sweetest marijuana in the world is probably grown in Ohio corn fields. Right out there with the honeybees that are fertilizing the corn or fertilizing the cannabis. And so we would like to see Ohio legalize hemp like other states have, Kentucky and my home state, Indiana, and other places. Hey, we don't want to stay up here all night. This is supposed to be a short broadcast, isn't it?
I think we should wrap it up.
All right. Well, we've got answers for you if you want them. Contact us. Let us know. If we can help you, we want to see you find the help. By the way, if you want to debate us on this, or you want to come on and tell us how to do this different, if you want to become a speaker on the show regularly, if you want to become part of the broadcast network for the Ohio Cannabis Institute, if you want to open up from Akron or Hilliard or Marietta or wherever you might be and be part of this broadcast group, I'm going to recommend them. I think the Ohio Cannabis, which was the first major Ohio streaming video company out there, is still on the cutting edge, and you can probably learn as much or more about all the sides of it right here as you can any other one place. That's how we got connected with Johnny Science up in Cleveland and other people. There's good things going on here. There are, some hurdles that I think we still have to cross. I'd like to see 6 budding plants for every citizen in Ohio to grow, so they know what they're getting and they can do their own extraction. I'll be glad to teach. Aren't you going to, by the way, on your special report coming up on small businesses in Ohio, you've identified just business after business after business that never existed before in Ohio.
Yeah.
And some of them are already making millions of dollars, but you brought in a friend of mine, Steve and Josh, and they designed an extractor
Very
for
cool.
home extraction that's cool as it can be. I watched them extracting with it.
Yep.
It works. It's great. It's $200, which almost anybody that's dealing with this, particularly if you want to do your own home extraction, can afford it.
These guys are growing so fast that I offered them the ability to come in and demonstrate their product for free, right? Advertising to you all. They're so doggone busy with this thing, it's taken off so fast, they can't get in here for weeks.
Well, you know, and I've got millions of dollars that I'm dying to invest in all kinds of sides of this business. I was just out in L.A. and with Bill Melankoski, one of my great friends, who was just in Greece and Macedonia and Spain, and was telling us how the business is going over there. He's supposed to come in next week and maybe be on the show. And we hope that Steve and Josh can come on and do a demonstration of their new product and have them on the show, because they're picking axe entrepreneurs, ganjapreneurs in the business.
That's right.
Out there. We're going to make millions before we ever get the first dispensary open in Ohio. If you'd like to be one of those that had the opportunity to make a significant amount of money in the green rush, we can tell you if you're a $10,000 investor or a $1 million investor, we can guide and help you. I was stalking this one company. I had a couple of $100 million in my pocket, and I was going after this one company. I'm telling you, I was hot after it. I knew it was going to be a great acquisition, and then all of a sudden, this other company slid under me and paid this outrageous price and bought the company out from under me. And that's the one of the companies I started investigating. That was the one that we found had oil available that was 100% triple tested and
That's
tested.
right.
So you don't know what's out there. So if you want to know, give us a call. Come on in, talk to us. If you want, and I say that, this show, we need 100 more people to help. So if you just want to volunteer and you're a caregiver or something like that, we're all unpaid on the broadcast. But we get our own notoriety, and I mean, when Fred walks through the mall, all the young girls come running up and go, "Will you give me your autograph? And by the way, do you have a joint?" Fred is totally, he's a dad, he's a good guy. I got to tease him because he's an academy graduate. I mean, it's just wild enough that he would be on this station endorsing what we got to say. But he's an enlightened person.
Well, I care about people.
You care about people. And you've gone out there and learned. You've gone out and read. You've gone out and looked. And
I'm educated in
you made yourself an educated person on the subject. So if you're one of those people that want to know more or want to know how to make money in the business, there's nothing wrong with that. I believe in John 10, I came that you might have life, and you might have life abundantly. And I believe in that. So we've got an abundant crop growing back here behind us. Looks like it's about ready for harvest. Those have got some pretty good buds up there. Oh my gosh. So, all right. Are we out of here?
Yeah, one last thing. Contact us at the Ohio Cannabis Institute by emailing us at contact@ohiocannabisinstitute.org. That's contact@ohiocannabisinstitute.org.
Don't you and Dr. Ryder have a small business conference coming up on how to get in this and make millions?
We do.
Look for that. It's coming up the end of August. God bless.
God bless.